we call life all about? And these are questions that I asked myself when I attended my first funeral as a young man. I attended the funeral of a very close friend of mine, Brooke, who was killed on Thanksgiving Day in a car accident. And several days later, when I attended her funeral, I started to think about these things. And in my research to answer these questions, I found another man who asked the same question. The American poet Walt Whitman once asked, "O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, and of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, O me, O life?" And Walt Whitman hadn't answered that question. His answer was this: that life exists in identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute reverse. That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute reverse. So what will your verse be? How will you be remembered? And what is success? I told you during table topics I was excited about that topic because it fit right in. How do we measure success in these things? How do we find a way to go about it? And I don't have all the answers to those questions. I've asked you a lot of questions so far. What are we doing here? What happens when we die? What is success? I don't know the answers, I'll be honest with you. If I knew the answer to those questions, I'd be a very rich person, and I wouldn't have to join the military to pay for school. But what I do have is some advice. Advice that I've put together over the years trying to answer those questions. And I'd like to share that with you in hopes that you leave here knowing a little bit more about who I am and how to live. My first piece of advice: life is really, really big. There are millions of us here, all of us looking for our verse, looking for our role. And we're fathers and brothers, sisters, husbands, lawyers, doctors, astronauts, sword swallowers, parachute packers, steamboat captains, all of us looking for a place in this world. All of us believing that what we do really matters. And it does matter. My second piece of advice is your verse matters. We can't all be George Washingtons and Martin Luther Kings and Neil Armstrongs. But everything that we do in our lives, the verses that we play, can inspire other pursuits behind us. Remember that George Washington didn't lead the American Revolution by himself. Martin Luther King didn't dream about equality for himself, but for all people. And Neil Armstrong didn't land on the moon proclaiming, "One giant step for man, one giant leap for me." No, they did these things as a pursuit of their verse in life among other people. And remember that everything you do contributes to our community. You can inspire others to pursue things. The United States of America still fights for those who are oppressed. The Special Forces of the American Army serve under the motto, the Latin phrase, De oppresso liber, for those oppressed. Men and women still dream of equality throughout the world. And mankind still sends men and women into space to reach the stars. And we all contribute to that community. And thirdly, life is a community event. It's a team sport. Everything that you do matters to someone, even on the smallest level. To a sick child, you might be a comforting hand. To a teenager, you might be a great role model. To an elderly person, you might be a helping hand. What you do in this life matters, even on the smallest level. You don't need a holiday named after you. You don't need all of the great things that we call success in this life, the expensive cars and the big houses, to really truly live and be successful. You don't need all of that. You can simply affect things right in front of your very own eyes. And often we look so far beyond ourselves. We look so far to help so much. But like the gentleman who spoke before me, he saw something right in front of himself, and he took action. He didn't try to become a hero and get a holiday named after him. He simply contributed to his community. Number 4, and the part that I struggle with the most, don't worry. I worry all the time. I worry that I worry too much. Then I worry that I'm worrying about how much I'm worrying. When I have a good day and there's nothing to worry about, I worry that I missed something. You're always worrying. Don't do that. The things that will really trouble you in life are going to be the ones that hit you on a Tuesday afternoon that you never saw coming. But if you can negotiate those tough times, and we've all made it this far, and we've all been through tough times, if you can negotiate and deal with the things that blindside you at Tuesday at 3 o'clock, why are you so worried about the things you see coming miles away on Promise Eve? You can handle those too. So don't worry. Lastly, life is really hard. Life is unfair. It's difficult. We miss opportunities. We get heartbroken. We lose people. Life is hard. Don't make it hard. There's a great song lyric that says, "We are all our own devils, and we make this world our hell." Don't be your own devil. Don't make life more difficult. It's already hard enough. And if you leave here today not getting anything else, I hope that you leave with an idea of trying to live a little more simply. To simply take the advice I've given you and impart it into your life. And one of my fondest memories of trying to really internalize this was when I spent an afternoon in Massachusetts sitting at the gravesite of an American author named Henry David Thoreau, who wrote a really great book called Walden, where he wrote about his time. He spent 2 years living in the woods. He built a very simple one-room hut, and he lived there by himself. And in this book, he says very simply, "I went to the woods because I wished to live more deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and not when I came to die, discovered that I had not lived." Live simply,